Well, hello everyone. We are talking about co-parenting today. I want to give you some time to jump in here. While I'm giving you some time, I'm going to go ahead and share the page with others. If you come in, please say hello, or when you come in, please say hello. Let me know who is here chatting with me today, so we're able to get the message out. Also, please share with those that you know can benefit from this topic. So I'm going to share right now, 1 second. How is your Tuesday going so far? So far, so good, I hope. Sharing. Giving you some time to get on. I hope that you are having a wonderful Tuesday so far. And we're going to get right to our topic, co-parenting. And I'd love for some of you to, if you're here, tell me who you are. Let's go ahead and start to define co-parenting. What is co-parenting? What does that even mean, to co-parent? Giving you some time to get on. And let me jump in so I can see any comments. So I want to be able to communicate back and forth with you. Okay, so I think we're all here. So defining co-parenting. What does it mean to co-parent? Co-parenting, basically, it's when there are two adults, most likely it's going to be the parents, that are working together in some type of way to make sure that their children are cared for. So it's working together even if you are not in a romantic relationship, or if you are not living together, but you're still working together for your child's best interest and to take care of your child. So when we get a divorce or when we break up, now it comes where you have different mindsets. You might even have conflict in the breakup in itself. So now you're trying to see, how are we going to parent now when we might not even like each other very much, right? So what are some of the challenges that we encounter when we're trying to co-parent with someone that we're not even in a relationship with anymore, or that we're not living with anymore? So some of the comments that were sent to me, I'm going to just dive into that right now. Some of the comments that were sent to me includes children having to carry messages. So many times we find that we are, or the other parent is telling children messages to give back to us. Or we might not realize that we are giving our children messages that we want them to share with the other parent. It could be as simple as, tell your father that I'm not picking you up at 2 o'clock anymore, but I'm going to come and get you at 1 o'clock. But are these messages that our children should be carrying? If you have found that sometimes you have sent messages, as simple messages at all, with your kids, type guilty. Type guilty in the messages, in the comments below. If you are sending messages with your children, this kind of puts our kids in a difficult spot, because sometimes the messages might be really simple and innocent, but then sometimes it could be very sticky. And our children are finding that they don't want to have to come and talk to us about things that the parent is saying about us or want us to give to them. These messages could be as simple as, mom needs to pick me up at this time, or I'm not going to the recital anymore, or I don't want to, mom doesn't want to, I'm not supposed to eat this anymore. You know, like from the foods to the activities to the school functions, any messages at all, we should not have our children carry any messages. This makes it very difficult for our kids. So that's one of the challenges that that I did receive a message about, where their children are carrying messages, and how can we stop that? How can we stop having our children or allowing our kids to carry messages? One way is we don't entertain it. When you see that your child's coming to you with a message, you remind them that, okay, that's something that us as the parents will discuss, and you don't need to worry about that. Or if a parent is asking a child, questioning them about what's happening at the other house, you can talk to your child about letting the other parent know, I'm not comfortable discussing this, because it's really not fair to our children to be put in situations where they're having to choose, or they're having to give sensitive information or emotional information to the other parents. We have to be very, very, very careful with that. Another topic that was brought to me was discipline. That's a big one, because we discipline very different. Many times we have very different styles of how we were raised, and how we either choose not to raise our kids or choose to raise our children. So now when it comes to disciplining our children, and they're living in two different homes, and both of us, myself and the other parent, or yourself and the other parent, have different ways of having our children follow the rules. So how are you supposed to discipline and be on the same page, or can you even be on the same page when you have discipline for your children? So that is a very hard one. But I say it's very important that you stick to your schedule in your home, because that's all you have control over. You have no control over what happens in the other parent's home. So it's important for you to kind of wash your hands of that. If you are cordial with the other parent, you can discuss academics and the expectations, and having things in place that both of you are on the same page with. So your child knows that, okay, if I'm not making the A's, B's, C's, then my phone's going to be taken away. And that's going to go for both homes, or no computer time, or no TV time. And if both parents are able to teamwork and get this job done together, then that is the best way to do it. But sometimes that's not the case, and parents are not able to even speak to each other, much less work as a team. So when you're seeing that that's taking place, you must make sure that in your home you set the standard. Set the standard in your home, and have your kids know that this is the standards, of the expectations when it comes to school, expectations with extracurricular activities, expectations with friends, just making sure that the stage is set, and they know the consequences, the rewards, and know how to move forward to be held accountable. So yes, when we are co-parenting, we want to be able to work together as a team and just have some simple things in place that you both are holding your kids accountable to. But sometimes that's more difficult than others, so you make sure that you are carrying this forward in your home. Something else that we wanted to discuss today for challenges, because we do have many challenges that we experience. So some of the challenges, and I see that this is probably, if you're catching this on the replay, please type replay and chime in and give your comments, and I'll make sure that I come back and I comment from either of your challenges that you have, or if you have any concerns with the ones that we're discussing. As you come in, please say hello, and let's talk about this Tuesday topic of the challenges with co-parenting after a breakup or a divorce. So the ones that we just covered were carrying messages, where we have to be careful that we're not having our kids carry messages, and then we are standing our ground with not sending messages with our children. The second one that we covered is discipline, where it's best if we're able to work as a team with the other parent to set some rewards and consequences in place for our children. And if that's not the case, if we're having a difficult time working as a team, then we make sure in our home we set a standard for our children moving forward. Another topic that was brought up is a really big one. It's bad mouthing. How many of you have experienced the other parent bad mouthing you to your child or in front of your child? That's something that our children has. It's emotional for them that they're hearing bad things about their other parent, and they love both of you dearly, and now they're having to hear these negative things about the other parent. So if any of you have ever experienced that, type in the comments, bad mouthing sucks, because it really does. It's hurting our children. And then let's talk about some ways that we can help our children with dealing with this. So for one, when it comes to bad mouthing, we need to make sure that we're setting a standard. We're making sure that we are not talking negative about the other parent in front of our children. Yes, you might have conflict. You might not care for the other parent very much at the moment, but we have to make sure that you have an outlet, some type of outlet. It could be exercise, it could be speaking with your friends and support systems, it could be going to a therapist, it could be anything like that, where you are spending some time getting it out. And it's not to your children. It might be really, really innocent or unexpected, where your child is saying, the other parent doesn't want to do XYZ, or is not going to do XYZ, or not going to pay for XYZ, and it might really hit a button for you. And that might be a trigger, and you might quickly just spurt out your mouth, all of these negative things of your experiences with the other parent. And we have to be very careful not to do this, all right, because it's hurting our children. So to help you with to help your child go through this and not have to experience the bad mouthing, you yourself have to set a really good example. Okay, and you have to have an outlet for yourself, and then you can sit down and talk with your child about how it makes your child feels that they're hearing these negative things about you. And then you can teach them ways that they can cope with it. You can teach them ways, and then you'll also know and learn that as your child gets older, they're really going to be able to know what's what and who's who with each of their parents, and they're going to gather their own conclusions about who each parent is and the character and integrity with each parent. So you have to know that you're setting the tone, and you're not bad mouthing the other parent, and you can help your child through it by talking about how they're feeling through it, and give them some coping skills of not having to focus on it, and reminding them of what's true. What do they see? Have them tell you what do they see, and then have them focus on that. For example, if they're hearing some negative things about you and how you treat people, let's just keep it really vague, right? So you can talk to them about, okay, well, what do you see when you see me, and how do you view mommy and how she feels or how she treats people? All right, then let's focus on that and not focus on the negative things that we're hearing. Just remind yourself of what you already know, okay? But never go to the other parent's level of bad mouthing. And if you are in a civil state, then you can actually sit down and try and have a meeting with the other parent to talk about how it's hurting your children, and trying to find some type of outlet in itself, so your children are not hurting. So another thing we want to address is dealing with spending time away from your child. If you are having shared parenting or shared custody, that your child is having to go and spend time with the other parent and spend time with you. I know in the very beginning this is hard because we're so used to having our children with us 24/7, so now having the home empty, having to deal with not having their laughter around anymore, that brings us joy. If anyone can relate, please in the comments type quiet time. Type quiet time in the comments, that we are going to have to embrace that quiet time when we're not having our kids around us as much as we're used to having them around us. So when this takes place, it's important to start to do things to relearn yourself and to keep yourself busy. And you have to coax your children into spending time with the other parent, because at times our children don't want to have to leave us and go to the other parent, but it's healthy. It's healthy for our kids to get that quality time with both parents. So if you're finding that sometimes you're having a difficult time, or your child is having a difficult time going back and forth between the homes, it's important to make a plan. Start to talk about it close to the time that it's time for the transfer of your child going to the transition of your child going to the next home. Talk about what they're looking forward to. Talk about the benefits of spending time with the other parent. Pack ahead of time and just prepare them and their mindset that they're going to go and spend some time with the other parent, and prepare yourself that, all right, while they're gone, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. So you're not feeling extremely alone and like you're not being able to connect. So yeah, make sure that we're doing that. And then let me see, was that 4? So then the 5th thing I really wanted us to talk about today, we talked about bad mouthing, dealing time away, discipline, and then when it comes to not being able to spend time with extended family. And as you come in, if you have any challenges that you really want us to touch on, please type those challenges in the comments so we can make sure that we're touching on them. I'm really focusing on the ones that were sent to me. So I'm making sure that I touch on those. And then if you have any others, please type them below so we're able to touch on that as well. Okay, so the next one that we're talking about right now is spending time with extended family. We find that many times our children, our children now has to, their time is kind of limited with us and with the other parent. And then how are we going to spend time where we are making sure that they have time with extended family as well? So that is a challenge, and it's difficult, but it's important to have a set schedule in place, and then be open, be flexible to having our children go and being open-minded. That's a difficult one when it comes to, we want our kids with us and we miss them when they're with the other parents, and now we have to include extended family like grandparents and aunts and uncles. And what about the holidays, and making sure that our children are getting a balanced life and balanced time, because at first this is something that we were able to do together as a family, as a unit, and now it's not as easy to do that. So we have to remain mindful and remain flexible, that we're being fair to our children and they're able to receive these times with our loved ones and with their loved ones. So we touched on a lot of things, but I really wanted to give you some tips. So the tips that I wanted to give you are, it's important that you put your feelings aside. It's easy for us to stay in our feelings, stay in the funk, stay angry, that we really don't want to have anything to do with the other parent. But this is teamwork. teamwork makes the dream work, we always hear, right? So we have to work as a team to make sure that our children, because we want our children's best interests at heart at all times. So put your feelings aside and stay focused on your child's needs, all right? Don't focus so much on the way that the other parent has hurt you, or the anger. Focus on your child's best interests. The second tip is have an outlet for yourself. If you have an outlet for yourself, then it's easier for you to hear the negative things or the things that make you a little bit unhappy with the other parent and not focus on it. You're able to brush it off and you're able to parent effectively. So these are tips for effectively co-parenting. Alrighty. Also commit to allowing your child to not send messages. And the way that you can do this is you yourself don't send any messages, as simple as they might be. You make sure that you have a way to communicate with the other parent. You can communicate with the other parent by text messages, by email. There's something out there that is called the wizard. It's called the Our Parent Wizard. So if you need some type of online resource to communicate because it's just really high conflict levels, then you can subscribe and pay for the online Parent Wizard, where you're able to put the schedule on there. You're able to put messages and communicate back and forth that way. So this is another way that you're able to communicate effectively without sending messages. Also commit to not listen to any messages that your child might have, that the other parent has sent. If you're not taking the time to listen and you remind them this is something that we as adults are going to deal with, and it's okay, I'll talk with the other parent about it. Okay, develop a system, some type of system as far as having a set schedule. Having a set schedule alleviates a lot of the conflict. So if you have a set schedule and you have ways to communicate with each other, it could be through text and email, then having this system can alleviate some of the conflict and help you to effectively co-parent. Also, effectively communicating. Keep your emotions out of it. You can communicate with a business tone. When we know that we are business individuals and professionals, you have a certain tone that you send in your emails, or when you speak, or when you're speaking to the other parent, or your colleague. So try and approach the other parent in this manner so you're taking the emotions out of it. And then a really big one are make requests instead of making statements, because when you make a statement, it's easy for it to be misconstrued as you are making a demand, and that's not truly what you might intend to do. But it's if you make a request, then it might be perceived a bit lighter. So ways that you can do that is, would you be willing to blah, blah, blah? Or can we try blah, 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 right? Or might this blank work for you better? When you make requests like this, it puts the other parent at ease and they're more willing to work with you. Okay? So these are all effective ways to communicate with the other parent to be able to co-parent effectively. Next, when you're team parenting, if you're able to team parent, that's the best way. But if you're not, you have to make sure that you're doing the best in your home. So be consistent. Our children need consistency. So have set rules, rewards, consequences, accountability in your home, and a set schedule in your home. When your child has to transition back and forth, make sure that you're giving them time to recoup, to just get back in the gist of things in their new environment. Okay? Respect. Manners go a far way. So we have to make sure that we're being considerate and being respectful of the other parent. All right? So let your ex know about the school activities or the extracurricular activities. If they have a recital coming up, or if they have a baseball game or something like that, let the other parent know. Just Be respectful in any way, in every way possible. All right. Be flexible with the schedule. Okay. And take their opinion into consideration. It's not always easy, but this is something that's going to help you to co-parent effectively. So remember, if we take the emotions out of it, it's a little bit easier to be able to do all of these things, and that the other parent's not going to be able to push our buttons because we are staying in control of our own actions. You have no control over what the other parent does, but you have every bit of control over yourself. Alrighty, so you have to make sure that you're staying mindful of your own action, that you're not allowing your button to be pressed. Alrighty, and then don't sweat the small stuff. It's really, really easy to just allow yourselves to get upset, right? And to stay in the funk and stay in the feelings. But try not to sweat the small stuff. Be flexible. Be mindful of where you're putting your energy and where you're allowing yourself to go. So ask yourself if this topic or if this concern is going to matter 3 to 5 years from now. Many times it's not. So many times we're getting really upset or bothered or having conflict with the other parent because of something in the here and now when it's possible not to sweat that moment. Okay? And then last, implementing smooth transitions. Our children need to have smooth transitions because our children are little people. They have emotions. And as much as we have our own emotions with the breakup and with dealing with the other parent, we have to really take into consideration how our child is feeling. Alrighty, and just having their best interests at heart at all times. So if we continuously do this, we help them to prepare for the transition in each home. We help to talk to them to make sure that they're ready to transition. And if we're seeing that they're complaining, because sometimes they're complaining about going from house to house and they're not, and it's not fair to them that they have to pack everything up and go to the next home. So make sure that we have things in place that they have double items where their toiletries and their toys, they have enough things at each home that they're able to transition smoothly. Okay, I hope this was helpful for you. Please, if you catch us on the replay, type replay. If you have any other challenges you really want us to touch on, type that in as well. I do have a Facebook community called Let's Parent. So you can go ahead and like that page. And then if you'd like these tips sent to you, because I'm going to send out these tips, if you'd like to receive these tips, please subscribe to my website. It's ShawteeThompson.com. Just subscribe there and you'll be able to get these tips among many other resources and goodies. Alrighty, I hope this was helpful and we'll chat again soon. Next week, Tuesday, we'll have the next Tuesday topic. Be intentionally hopeful and take care.